the BFG. John Romero famously said this version of it looked like Christmas because it does this. Here he is, the cacodemon. Let's wake him up. Check it out. The fireball seems to come out much lower, and the, firing frames are a bit sort of slower and jerkier. What the hell is this? Happy birthday to Doom. Well, no, I'm not going to sing the whole thing, but nonetheless, it is the 30th anniversary of the release of Doom. And I thought to celebrate, well, it would be the obvious thing to do to go and play version 1 shareware, the game that was actually released on this day back in 1993. But I thought it would actually be fascinating to go back a little bit further even and see just what could have been, how Doom looked in October of 1993 with the press release beta. So on the 1st of January in 1993, id Software put out this massive press release boasting about how incredible Doom was going to be. And of course, luckily for them, or because they're highly skilled game developers, they delivered. But all the way in October of 1993, October the 4th to be exact, they put out a version of Doom that they had at that point. I guess they thought it was worthy of showing off. They put this version out to journalists to try and build up some hype, hence why it's called the press release beta. And that's what I'm going to be playing in this video, so you can see just how different Doom looked in October of 93 compared to its final release in December. And you can really see that back then, a lot of things were already in place, but a lot of things also still had to change. So there's a lot for me to talk about. The first thing is the menu doesn't pause the game. There is no pause option. In fact, hitting the pause key just then fires my gun. I only just found that out right now. So let's get these zombie men off my back and lay down a few initial things to talk about. First, as you can see, there is no sound. So I'm just going to play us a little bit of background music. This track is what was playing over E1M2 at this stage in development. If you check out the A Visit to id Software video from November of 93, you can find it on YouTube. I'll leave a link in the description. You'll see that this music, Dark Halls, was playing on E1M2 during that, so that's why I'm playing this. Yeah, so no sound, and, well, it all looks pretty similar to start with, right? Except for the status bar. So, as you can see, behind Doom Guy's face, it's black, and there's a little number next to him. This still has lives, just like in Wolfenstein. When you die, you lose a life, and if you run out of lives, I guess that's it. You have to go all the way back to the start. The funny thing is, in this version though, it doesn't work. They hadn't actually implemented the code for the life counting system. So, we don't have to worry about it. I wonder if they ever implemented it, to be honest. And it was pretty soon after this that John Romero realized, why are we even doing this in a PC game? There is no need for a life counter. Let's just get rid of it. Oh, the imp. Well, okay. I'm trying to talk about all kinds of things, but here is the imp to show off a massive difference. Fireballs are totally different. They look like little red plasma bolts. And when it hits the wall, it's like a little bullet puff graphic. See? Yeah, but otherwise, I mean, the imp is functionally very similar. And if can you scratch me? Yep, you sure can. And I'm dead. And when you die, as you can see, the game just sort of pauses. The weapon doesn't go down, the screen stays red, and we can just restart like that. And look, the life counter didn't decrement, so they hadn't gone that far quite yet. So what even is this? This is a press release beta. Basically, in early October, it decided that the game was sort of looking good enough that they could release it to some journalists and drum up some hype. And so this was, sent out to a select few game journalists at the time. And we can play it now these days thanks to the efforts, or largely thanks to the efforts of a guy called Lee Killoff. Apologies if I'm pronouncing that name wrong, so shout out to them. A link in the description if you want to download this and play it for yourself. Check that out when I pick stuff up. The message displays down on the status bar. So you're going to have to get used to that if you want to see what I'm picking up. The pickup text strings seem to be the same. but they're displayed down there, which is kind of strange. Also, look, the zombie men aren't dropping clips. They had not... I assume they meant to do that because I'm pretty sure that happened in Wolfenstein, but it just hadn't been implemented yet. And they stand statuesquely perfectly still when they're idle. So I used to always think that it was kind of strange that they walk in place when they're idle, but seeing them stand still, I can see why they did that. It definitely looks a bit more alive and a bit more sort of, you know, obvious that they're a living entity when they're actually sort of, you know, half jogging in place when they're idle. So yeah, originally it did decide that they were going to have the monsters just stand there. Look, there's the message down there again. But yeah, I kind of agree with their decision now to make them jog in place. As weird as it looks better than them standing perfectly still in my opinion. Also this, you might think this is a crude box of shotgun shells. No, this is 4 shotgun shells, as you can see on the message down on the status bar. Yeah, the 4 shotgun shells was like a little half crude looking box. And then the bigger box is also a crude version of the pickup sprite that we end up getting. Look, here's a clip. The clip looks the same as always and normal, it's just zombie men don't drop it. You picked up a clip. Also the green armor, it's here down on the floor rather than up there, and it doesn't glow. They decided to make it just a static image. I picked up the armor. 100 armor. The funny thing about the armor I've noticed in this version though is that if you have green armor, you can't pick up another one until your armor drops below 50, I think it is. Certainly I won't be able to pick up another one if I drop to, you know, 99 or something. And I can show that actually. Although there's plenty to show. There should be a zombie man in here somewhere. So yeah, look, no stairs. The map is different. I wonder if there's a zombie man over here. Romero had not added stairs yet. Shoot me so that my armor goes down. Thank you. I'll talk about the map difference soon, but I want to show the armor. So this secret was here, which is cool. Get that, and now see here's another green armor. I have 99, so in the regular game, if I could pick this up now, right? Not here. Also check down in the status bar, the amounts of all the ammo is the same as the final game, and if I pick up a backpack, it doubles just the same. You picked up a backpack full of ammo, so they'd already decided that. But see how it says bullets, shells, miss. In this version, the status bar was still calling rockets missiles. But when you pick up a rocket or the rocket launcher, it says in the text string you picked up a rocket launcher. So they made the decision to change it. They just hadn't updated the graphics in the status bar yet. Also, what the hell is this thing on the floor here? Well, I'm going to leave it and talk about that soon. But you've probably been noticing, because I've been talking about the status bar, look to the left of Doom Guy's face. Item. There's an item count of 0. Just like in Wolfenstein, Doom at this stage still had items that you could pick up and get a score. And we're going to find some of them in the outside area out here. Look, here's the imp with its plasma fireballs. Throw it again. Show everybody. Whoa. Look, and yep, you saw the zombie man before, but infighting was already here. And look, the zombie man's firing frame is different graphics. His body doesn't light up orange, and the muzzle flash on his gun is much more sort of puny. There are a bunch of little graphical changes to the sprites. For example, look at the red key bouncing in place like that. I'm pretty sure this is an error because in the WAD files, the blue and yellow key don't bounce. So I think this is just like an offset error. But yeah, I wonder if they were playing with the idea of having the keys sort of bounce a bit sort of cartoonishly and arcadely. Also, look, this texture up the top here didn't make the final cut. Looks kind of cool though. It's a little bit cartoony, but so I can kind of see why they dropped it. But yeah, they didn't keep that. Now, okay, these things, look. It's time to talk about them. I've mentioned them. Items. That is a skull chest. And now I have item count of 1. I have a skull chest. What is this? Demonic dagger. I can pick up items. Oh, and yeah, this lift. No wonder Romero turned them into stairs. This is pretty annoying. But in the alpha version of this map, like one of the earlier alpha versions, you didn't go up as high to this, like you didn't add as much height. So I can understand these lifts were just like an easy, quick way to add a lot of extra height to this area. Also, when you pick up keys, they don't disappear even in single player. That's a thing in multiplayer, of course, but here, not yet. All right, let's go outside, pick up an unholy Bible, and look, the skybox. It's much more realistic. Oh no, damn it. This bloody lift. Yeah, if you're on Phobos in real life, you would expect there to be no atmosphere and therefore no color in the sky. It would be black and there would be just these brown mountain ranges. This is actually much more like real life, but I think they made an excellent decision to put in those, Chinese grey mountains that were in the final game, because they just look way cooler and give you a much more sort of awe-inspiring sort of vista. But still, it's kind of cool to see that they initially tried something real. Also, this outside area here is much smaller, and this is actually raised up rather than being like a shadow. So yep, and the textures are misaligned and so on, so there's definitely lots of iterative, small, subtle improvements. I mean, across the whole game, let alone the maps. Dropping of the items, such a good idea. It's so superfluous to the gameplay, the life counter and the items and everything. You'll notice that even though it's a fun novelty to see them and see me picking them up, you really just don't notice it in terms of gameplay. Speaking of such things though, the Soul Sphere, look what it does. Boom, full health and an extra life. So it puts you to 100, kind of like the Berserk would, and it gives you an extra life. That's what it was originally going to do. And I think that explains why it's called a Soul Sphere. That's the whole idea. It's a whole extra soul to give you an extra life. Pretty cool. No chain gun out here. Just some unholy Bibles and a box of bullets. Don't worry, all the guns are in this. You might be thinking, hang on, I think I remember something about the BFG in this version. I will show that. I will show that. In fact, why not show it now? So there are cheats in this version. They're not the same as the original cheats, but if I just type AMO, ammo added, I get all the ammo and the guns. May as well show it off because the map from here is pretty similar. So let's see. Chainsaw doesn't animate, but it works, but it looks really sort of unsatisfying. They hadn't added in like the lock-on effect. I think what it is just a very short range hit scan attack. And yeah, as you can see, it looks kind of unsatisfying, but the idea is there. See, I'm not getting sort of locked into it and the screen's not shaking around like you used to. So they still had to do more to the chainsaw. The funny thing is, even though it's not animating right now, there were 4 frames of idle animation in the WAD file. 4, rather than the usual 2. Which is, it looked a lot more sort of fluid and interesting. I wonder if they dropped the 2 for space reasons, memory reasons, or because they genuinely thought it looked a bit more cool with just the 2 going back and forth. I wonder. Okay, so the maze is here. You've already seen the pistol and the shotgun, although something that I will be able to show in the darkness. I need to go in the very darkness, I think. Hang on. Oh yeah, the collision detection of the hit scan in this is a little bit wonky. Sometimes it doesn't shoot them as much as you think. The block map bug issues, I think, are much more severe in this version. Let's go somewhere very dark. So I want to show something about the muzzle flashes. Look, all these like sector light effects already here. Okay, so we're in the darkness. When you shoot the shotgun, see only the fire around the gun actually lights up, which is the same as the final version. Whoa! These imps, they're messing me up. But the pistol, it's the same in this version, which is different to the release version. In the release version, the very tip of the gun barrel itself also lights up. So they did that on purpose, even though if you look at the graphic in isolation, it maybe looks a bit sloppier with this sort of truncated piece of the barrel that they've lit up. It was a deliberate design choice, clearly. Very interesting. I actually kind of prefer this, to be honest. I think that was one of the very few things they changed that wasn't for the better. This looks better. Having just the fire, I think. That's just a personal opinion. Okay, speaking of muzzle flashes though, and weird things, let's go into this secret and go to get the chainsaw. Picking up some unholy Bibles, evil scepters and skull chests on the way, and a demonic dagger. Also the secret with the armor bonuses, it's not here yet. Okay, speaking of weird muzzle flashes, are you ready to see the chain gun? Okay, so first of all, it's missing the end of the barrels that you would be used to from the release version, but look at the muzzle flash. Yeesh. They definitely improved the hell out of the look of the chain gun. It seems to be functionally the same thing. See? But it looks a bit dodgy. But clearly they realized that and fixed it, so, you know, good. Also, there's even more muzzle flash firing frames in the WAD again, but they haven't implemented them yet. Also, I think, I'd have to confirm this, that the bullet puffs on the wall are just a little tiny bit different to what was released in the end. They're a bit more circular and emanate from the middle a bit. Also, the shotgun has a much tighter spread, I would say. Just boom. Really snipes them. See, from even all the way back here, it's still a relatively tight spread compared to the release version. Okay, the chainsaw secret is here, of course. And the donut special for the sectors is there. But I already have one because I cheated. Also, the bottom of these tech pillars looks different, but that's just a graphical glitch. If you look in the WAD file, the actual look of the tech pillar is the same as what you'd expect it released. Don't know why it glitches like that, but it does. Okay, there's one other major difference in this map to show. I may as well go to it. But yeah, the maze is pretty much complete other than the backpack secret. It's not there, like down the end here. You'd be able to go through the wall and get a backpack. That is there in the Visit to Id video from a month after this. But right now, it ain't there. You know, there'd normally be a backpack secret you can open here. So while I walk around, just a couple of other things to note. You might notice that it seems like I'm walking really slow. And that's because I am just walking rather than running. The default keyboard controls are the same as what would be in the final release, except left shift doesn't make you run, only right shift does. And that's a bit awkward to press, but I can show. See, look, I'm running. The speed of Doom Guy was here. Whoa! But only when you press right shift. Also, you'll notice that I'm a keyboard player, and so this is fine for me, but mouse controls, they were here, and look how much vertical mouse movement there is. It's like auto run is on for vertical mouse. Whoa! And right click is the strafe modifier. Whoa. See if I can bring the mouse into keyboard cam, just in the very bottom of keyboard cam there, see it? In the top right. With right click held, I strafe, with let go, I look. And the vertical mouse movement is crazy. I'm not moving the mouse very much, as you can see, and look how much I'm going. Whoa, whoa. And of course it shoots. So yep, mouse controls were in Doom in all the alphas as far as I'm aware, well, from at least Alpha 4 onwards. So yep, as much as I like keyboard controls, as much as they're a cool bit of nostalgia, Doom was always meant to be played with a mouse. Also look at this, yeah, the AI bugs on walls sometimes. This guy's clearly a bit stuck. You get to see the firing frame though. See, it's pretty different. And yeah, auto aim's a bit balked. It usually works with hit scan weapons, but not with projectile. Also look, here's the sprite there. They hadn't quite figured out how they wanted the clipping to work. I'm pretty sure in the final game you'd see the whole sprite here rather than being hidden by the stair. Also, speaking of stairs, they're not fully here yet, it's a lift. And this is the other major difference in this map, that this room is actually like a little maze, rather than just a walkway across the slime. So if we go this way, there's just a demonic dagger. And we have to go this way, with no rad suit. Will I make it? Walking rather than running, well, you get a medkit and then these 3 medkits here. And I think that explains why they're here. If you ever wondered why you get given 3 medkits all of a sudden, well, because this room used to be like this. Also, the map, now's a good time to show it, I guess, because you can see the difference here. Look at the status bar when I bring up the map. I have the score from my items, and this is where you see what weapons you have. There's a little graphic of them all each there, because I cheated. So rather than the arms, see on the normal status bar here, it's an item count. They replaced that with arms in the final game, which now is this weapons thing here. A very smart design decision, and the score, they just didn't have space for it here, I guess, and so they had it on the map. In the final game, of course, the status bar just doesn't change when you bring up the map. But the map is here and works totally fine. Follow mode off. Works for the most part, it would seem, but in one of the other maps, it's sort of stuck down here, which makes me wonder if there was a bit of, glitchiness to how it worked. Maybe it was tied to 0, and world space or something like that. I'll show that soon. But yeah, you can really see the different shape of the outside area here with the auto map on. But yep, the map was working. And this secret was here, but let's take the lift because this is one of the most famous rooms in Doom's development. This room blew everyone's minds apparently when John Romero made it, and this set the tone for how they were going to design the maps from this point forward, or from that point forward. It's funny seeing the original version of it, it wasn't even as tall, and it didn't have monsters in it, of course. So it's really interesting to see how it blew people's minds in sort of like a half-baked form of what you see here, with the extra height and the blinking lights and the height variation of the fighting. Then you can really see, yeah, their imagination must have gone there already. Okay, time to exit this map, I guess, and show the other two maps. Also, see the way these guys move? I feel like just something about the animation, maybe the timing of it, and the slight positioning of the sprites relative to the floor, and the way they move even, maybe their move speed and so on, is all just a bit different in this version. A bit sort of more fluid and smooth rather than what we all know and love. And so it shows there's an accumulation of very subtle little changes that were all excellent design choices, I think, to make things look a bit, more realistic and fun and tight from a gameplay design point of view in the final product. Okay. Check out the intermission screen. It doesn't really work. As you can see, it doesn't actually count anything yet. And it looks more like the multiplayer one. They were going to have it look like this. Once again, I think a good design decision to change it up for the final game. And there's the score counter down the bottom and the par time. No level name. If you look in the very bottom right, you see it's got this sort of like what looks like an embossment, an impression area. I think that is where they're going to put the level titles, because there's some graphics in the WAD that look like it. Also, look, it says you were here, and when I press space, you are now here. And also see the lights on the buildings, they're bugged. Okay, yeah, and look, it's looking for E1M3 and it can't find it. So in this package of the thing, you have to choose a skill level by typing in easy, or just Doom for medium, or hard Doom for hard. I'm playing on hard Doom. Let's go to demo map 2. And that will mean a music change, of course, because Dark Halls is not playing over this. This is E3M5. So let's put on the music for that. So I don't know what music they would have been using in development. Maybe not this, but let's have a look. Look at the black sky here. You can see why they decided to change it, because it just doesn't look so great in a moment like this. It just looks like a flat black texture just about. You can just see a bit of the mountains, but it doesn't really look appropriate. Although there were a bunch of different skies in the WAD, which looked really cool. I'd love to do a video one time actually just going through the WAD and checking out all the different graphics in there. Okay, let's just turn this down a little bit, I think. There are a few new things to show here. Maybe I should give myself the guns as well, because we haven't even looked at all of them yet. So let's bring out the pinky and look at what the pinky does. Okay, he didn't bite me for much there, but it feels like, yeah, look at how much damage it's doing to me. Bang. I feel like the pinky is way more, it's got a way higher DPS in this version. It's a short hit scan attack, just like it was in the first couple of versions of the final game. And I feel like the damage amount it does is higher. Let's look at the rocket launcher. Looks the same so far, right? Whoop, boom. Well, yeah, pretty much. But the explosion graphic is just far more red. And it has a slower rate of fire and no muzzle flash yet. Also, the rocket seems to come out slightly to the left of the weapon graphic. And of course, it's called missile holes down in the bottom right. But now we're about to go and see one of the biggest differences. Get these demonic daggers out of the way. What the hell is this? This is the Lost Soul at this point, the beta Lost Soul. If you ever played Doom 0, of course, he famously uses these as a separate type of enemy. They do like a little hit scan attack. rather than charging at you, of course. And I think it was a great decision to change these guys around for the final game, because that looks kind of okay, but definitely the final version with the flames and the way they charge you was just way cooler. According to Sandy Peterson, that was Adrian Carmack's idea, and as soon as he sort of said it in a design meeting they had, everyone was just like, yep, we have to do that, that's so much better than this. But still, it's fun to see these things in action. It's what they were going to be and could have been. And I think the way it's sort of floating here upon death is just a bug. Surely they were meant to fall to the floor, although I will expand on that soon. But first, let's check out the light goggles. Do they do what you expect? No! They turn everything green just like, you know, real life night vision goggles would. And the funny thing is they never run out. So this apparently is your light amp goggles. This was the original idea for their implementation. Really strange in my opinion, like why would this ever be an advantage? Other than just to show off the fact that the palette could change. Well, let's bring out the balked chain gun and look at these statuesque imps. They do not wake up when I shoot, because the ambush flag in this truly was deaf. Okay, well, they just did wake up then. Why did they wake up there and not before? That is really strange, actually. I didn't expect them to. But yeah, the ambush flag in this is actually like more like deaf. Monsters only wake up when they can actually see you, like their vision is, you know, you're in like the front of them where they should be able to see you. They clearly changed that for the final game, and once again, I think a good choice. Also, check it out. Corpses don't get squished yet. The door just opens again. Once again, a subtle but I think good design choice. Okay, pinkies. Don't bite me for lots of damage. I have a couple more weapons to show and a couple more monsters to show. Oh yeah, the imp's fireball being different. I see there, like I should have been shooting him, but the block map stuff, the hit scan collision detection, not so great at this early stage. Relatively early stage, I mean, this is still late in development though. There he is, the Cacodemon. Let's wake him up. Check it out. The fireball seems to come out much lower, and the, you know, firing frames are a bit sort of slower and jerkier. Clearly just a timing decision, like they could have made it more like the final game, and obviously did in the end. But the reason it looks like this is it's not actually flying. It's just the sprite is drawn sort of with a high offset to make it look up in the air, and of course it's not like there's no walking frames because that's not what the enemy's designed like, right? So this is just like a normal sort of like giant imp walking around, but with the sprite up in the air to make it look kind of like it's floating. And you can tell that by the way the ball comes out really low. That's just the same height that any projectile would be fired, except that, you know, the sprite is really high on this thing. Also, so actually, let me do the ammo cheat again so I get more bullets. The Cacodemon, of course, famously is the only monster that has two pain states. Like the eye goes halfway closed and then fully closed. And I think this explains a bit as to why. Let's get another one. It has a really high pain chance in this. Okay, so the crappy hit scan detection is not helping me here, but see, it's pain chancing most times that I shoot it. Really high pain chance. And so I wonder if the second frame was added so that when you're hitting it with something like a chain gun, you still get a bit of animated feedback that it's getting hurt time and time again. And then I guess they lowered its pain chance for the final game, but why not leave in the second frame of pain animation anyway? It's been drawn, so let's keep it. Also, you can't really tell because it's fighting me, but in this early version, it doesn't have rotational frames for its pain state or its attacking state. But that's clearly just hadn't got around to it yet sort of thing. Here we go. Okay. Yep, 4 shotgun shells is the little box there. And, well, it's time to show some of the other guns. Plasma Sprite, different and not as good. I don't think this is anywhere near as good. Definitely a good choice to update this for the final game. Also, look, they do look kind of weird just standing there when they're idle, and this is how the plasma gun works. Green and red alternating balls. It's like Christmas, just like John Romero said. And they also move at different speeds, so the red ball is just like the imp projectile, except it moves faster. And then the green ball, a bit closer to what we got in the end, but green instead of blue. It's still very different. It doesn't look exactly the same at all. And functionally, though, the plasma rifle does seem to sort of, do about as much damage and kill things about the same as in the final game. Also, some of these triggers don't quite work the same as in the released version. I think some of these line def specials still needed some work. But we can clip in there. NC is the no clipping cheat in this version, but of course it's damaging floor in here. So, oh my god, I'm getting hurt. Cell pickup. Oh, I'm still copying damage because I'm too close to the damaging floor. I'm gonna die or not. What was the I forget the God mode cheat, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, let's move on. Oh yeah, these hallways are actually slightly narrower in this version. You probably wouldn't notice that, but I noticed it by opening the map. Well, in Slate, I just saw the top-down view of the map. They're just a bit narrower than in the final version. And here's another example of these line def specials just not quite working properly yet, it would seem. But we can cheat to get our way into this room. So in this room, bunch of lost souls. Oh, and one just shot me. But the little doors behind where they all would be that are secrets in the final version, they aren't there. Right, there's excuse me, one other major thing to show on this map, of course. Well, a couple actually. The teleporters are here, but oop, no teleport fog, it just happens instantly. So they work, but you don't get the visual feedback that you got in the final version, which was obviously an excellent choice to give you some actual feedback. This area is pretty much finished, although maybe I'm Mandela affecting myself, but the top here is like a ceiling texture. I could swear it's the sky in the final version. Could be wrong though. Like I say, Mandela affecting myself. Let's cheat a little bit and look in these rooms because there's something very special to show. Ah, the Baron. He's here, but if you look very carefully and if you're a turbo nerd, you might be noticing something here. The sprites are different. His hooves, horns, and like leg fur are all a lighter color. And well, you just saw it there. He throws what became a part of the Arachnotron plasma explosion. And then it has the explosion graphics of the green plasma bolt. Really interesting because in the WAD file, it has a like sort of skinnier version of its final actual green goo ball sort of magic attack that it throws. But yeah, the sprites have sort of got this lighter color scheme to them, and that was touched up for the final game, of course. Darkening the color of the horns and the hooves and the fur on the legs. But you can't, in-game, it's pretty hard to tell. It looks sort of fine like this. But then when you see the two sprites side by side in Slade, like the finished ones do look a bit better. A little bit more menacing and just sort of polished, I think. So I can see why. But this explains why, you know, the Baron firing frame in the final version, it sort of lights up a bit when it throws the ball. That's because that particular frame of animation was not touched up. I wonder if that was done on purpose for, you know, it looks like it's sort of lighting up as it does its magic to throw the green ball. But so that's got the original color scheme that all the all the sprites in this version have. But, you know, for the final one, Adrian, for whatever reason, decided to touch them all up, but left that particular frame alone. Interesting to see that it was a deliberate design choice. And there it goes. Also, yeah, it's missing its final frame of its death animation. Also, a lot of the frames, like I mentioned, the Zombie Man firing frame, but there's a lot of other frames of animation across all the sprites that are just a little bit different. They got a bit of a touch up, especially the player, like the player's gun is a lighter color in this. And the shotgun guy sprites are in this version, but they don't. Oh yeah, I know one other thing that I want to show, and it's in here. So this teleporter, the one that lights up, takes us to here, and look, the partial invisibility power-up is different looking. Similar, you can see the link to the final one, but it doesn't have the red orb effect around it. And when I pick it up, oh, it does the invulnerability thing, and it doesn't seem to actually make any difference to the monsters whatsoever. And this never wears out, so Yeah, that's the end of that. Let's go to the final map. And, well, that of course necessitates a music change because we're in E2M2 now, containment area. But see the order they're in. So this is an episode 1 map, an episode 3 map, and then an episode 2 map. This was the original progression of the game. You're meant to start in a base, go to hell, and then come back to the corrupted base. And then for the final game, they changed that order around. Base, corrupted base, hell. And look, a massive map difference immediately. This area is all here, and this crate maze is all pretty much here and finished. But the door into this area is right here at the start. To your left. Rather than around on the wall where the imp came from. Over here. There's just nothing. Usually the door is here. In the final version. I think that makes sense to have moved it. Wasn't like a huge thing, but still, it makes a bit of sense. And unfortunately, the Berserk is... excuse me. I'm still in the final throes of recovering from COVID, so I apologise for the coughing. Yeah, the Berserk is not here. The Berserk was behind all those pinkies before, but it does nothing. When you pick it up, it says Berserk, and I think it probably puts my health back to 100, but it doesn't give you the powerful punch. They hadn't added that in yet. Be very interesting to know who had that idea, where that came from, and exactly when they implemented it, but obviously it was an excellent decision. Not here quite yet though. But yeah, this map is very, very similar to the final product, other than this door being in a different spot. And then, you know, any other differences that I note were the same for like the first couple of release versions. Anyway, one final thing I think to kick things off. The BFG. John Romero famously said this version of it looked like Christmas because it does this. Yeah, Decino made a video on this as well, so you've probably seen that if you've watched his video. Look, it bounces off the ceiling even, like, so they have, it's just a bunch of plasma bolts that have vertical and horizontal spread, and they bounce off the floor and ceiling. So you spend 40 cells, just like in the final game, and it fires 80 of these things. So basically just getting twice your value. It's like a plasma rifle just firing, you know, twice as much as you spend all in one go. Certainly does melt these, you know, lower tier dudes, but yeah, definitely a great decision to put the final effect on the BFG. The final thing with like the great big ball and the hit scan traces, way cooler than this. Such a good idea. But you can see where the idea for the traces came from, right? Why there's 40 traces. One for each call. I think it calls the function 40 times, but fires 2 plasma balls for each function call. And that's why it's called BFG spray, the function name. It's still like, you know, holdovers from this. But yeah, it did look like Christmas. Good call by Romero to change it. And that's all the weapons. The rocket launcher's splash damage seems to be a bit jankier. It works, and it definitely does a lot of damage. But oh yeah, see, that's kind of going through the guy. I don't want to splash myself here. There we go. But yeah, it's a bit jankier. Also, this is the same in version 1 of the release version, but see, there's actually a switch up there, and this doesn't require the blue key, because you're meant to get up there, get the blue key, press that switch, and come down here. But you can if you position yourself right. And I'm not getting any sound feedback there, so bear with me. But you can just press the switch from down here, and yeah, look at that. And get the bouncing red key, which I already got through cheating. So yep, and just to remind you, I can press shift to run. The speed was all here already. So yeah, that's probably all the major differences for the press release beta version of Doom on October the 4th. So lots of, you know, subtle incremental changes being made over the next 2 months before the final release, but added all up, made Doom feel just so much more polished and designed so much tighter and faster, much better feedback to the gameplay. No need for the items or lives was an excellent decision. So superfluous, like I haven't mentioned them for however long now. Did you even remember about them? Did you even notice? Exactly. Such a good idea to just get rid of them. A lot of the graphical changes, the vast majority of them, besides the pistol muzzle flash, which is like a really small nitpick of mine, are all better. Definitely Adrian and Kevin made a lot of good decisions in terms of tightening up the sprites, making the monsters run in place, all that kind of thing. Slight incremental changes to the maps, all excellent. the slight changes to the way the weapons worked. I mean, Romero's mentioned before in interviews that they spent a lot of time playing the hell out of this game in the final stages and really like making a bunch of tight design decisions. And you can see it here. The way the monsters feel and look and the way the weapons worked. A lot of balancing was clearly done at the end here, and it was all for the better in my opinion. Also, yeah, here we go. I pick up a rocket. It calls it a rocket. I think the status bar was just one of the last things to be updated. The plasma gun, rather than pressing here, this lowers because you walk over a line def here. That's just a small change they made, I guess. And yeah, I think that's pretty much... Oh, well, yeah, crushes work totally differently. So look, it's not going to go up very high. And you can't really get through it, I don't think. Okay, yeah, I did. But you got to be careful. And see, when it gets to this med kit, it's trying to like crush it as if there was a monster there. Really bizarre stuff. I mean, you know, but they fixed it, obviously, for the final version. So they realized that this didn't look so good. And they did something about it. Let's run into the secret here. Oh god, no, these pinkies are so brutal. But yeah, it's amazing how relatively close this was to the final version, but how much sort of, you know, worse it does actually play, and how much work they did in those final couple of months. Really cool stuff. These janky shotgun shell pickups. Oh, there's so many of these. Hit scan lost souls, they're probably going to kill me. Yep, bang. Oh, you do turn to face whatever killed you, but they clearly haven't fully implemented all of the death stuff yet. It didn't really matter for this version because you just restart again. The lives weren't really a thing. And you select the maps at the menu. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed watching through this little foray into Doom's development. And, you know, happy birthday to Doom. 30 years, unbelievable. 30 years today. I am actually recording this on the 10th of December, my time. Hopefully to release tonight, so this comes out on the 10th of December for most of the rest of the world as well. And what could have been, eh? It just goes to show how good id Software knew at this point. They must have known. They had an excellent, excellent product. This would have still, you know, caused a huge scene and splashed the gaming industry hard. But they knew they could make it that much better, and so they did. And they really... all those little finishing touches they added over the next couple of months. Jibbing wasn't a thing yet in this, for example. Adding in that. Adding in like physics to the monsters. When you shoot them, they actually get knocked back and fall down stairs and that kind of thing. Their corpses. The way they can fall forward sometimes. None of that's in here yet. But they added it because they knew it would look so much cooler, and it does. It still looks fine really when they just sort of fall in place, but obviously it looks way better in the final game. Oh yeah, Mega Armor. So I've cheated, I won't be able to pick this up, but the Mega Armor does animate, and it absorbs apparently half the damage instead of... oh, sorry, 2/3 instead of half. So they nerfed Mega Armor for the final game. Interesting stuff. I'm just trying to make sure as I walk around here that I've, you know, thought of everything that is noteworthy enough to show. And I haven't forgotten to mention anything. Oh yeah, the collision detection against walls, I guess. These are all square, so it's fine, but against sloped walls, it actually feels like you're walking against a bunch of tiny little 90-degree angles. It was a bit jankier. Yeah, this area is here. And yeah, so clearly Carmack still did quite a lot of work in the last little while of development to make. And see, like the shearing as I turn my vision, look at the way it sort of cuts in half portions of the screen. Doesn't look all that great. Hopefully you can see what I mean. See right around the middle of that switch there. So in these last couple of months he worked on the collision detection, made it much better, and just smoothing out the rendering so that it can actually keep up with the incredible player speed, I guess. Oh yep, visual glitching. Yeah, some of the textures, and especially, you know, like around doors and so on, line def specials, don't load all that well. Look at this. This looks like it's a missing texture here, right? But actually, when you open the door, it's there. It's just something weird's going on there. But they fixed it clearly for the final game. So yeah, Doom's press release beta. So close. And yet, so much more to do. And they smashed it out in the next 2 months. This was October the 4th this came out. Doom came out on December the 10th. And yeah, by all accounts, Sandy and Ramirez and anyone who's talked about it, they worked their asses off in those last couple of months. And as you can see though, they worked their asses off to make relatively subtle changes that all added up to a much, much better experience. So yeah, no Cyber Demons or Spider Demons to show, unfortunately. No other maps to show. They only included the 3 that I've shown here. And that's about it of things that are of note. So, okay, here I will actually wrap the video up. I really hope you enjoyed this look into Doom's press release beta. And happy birthday to Doom. And yeah, I will see you in more Doom videos in the future. This is just, you know, a little side project sort of style video I did to celebrate Doom's 30th birthday. If you're interested, let me know. I will go through the WOD and actually do like a more in-depth video where I do like a direct comparison of the graphics in this compared to the released version, and maybe even look at the maps in a bit more in-depth. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Happy birthday, Doom, and I'll see you guys in another video. Until then, peace out.